Hey, what's up everyone? Today we're going to be adding the Spotify plugin to the macro deck. It's been a while since I've done one of these tutorial videos, but I'm back at it. I've had this one requested by quite a few people. There's already a video out there, but I figured I'd take a crack at it as well. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing and it helps me out. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so today we're going to be installing the Spotify plugin for Macro Deck. All of the information is available here on the GitHub page. You can see all of the features and the variables, any important notes that go with it. Another very important note about this plugin is that in order to control your player, you need Spotify Premium. If you just want to use the variables from Spotify, you don't need Premium. And there's also another application or another plugin that you can use in place if you want to just pause, play, and skip tracks. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this plugin installed on our macro deck. You're going to go to the Plugins tab over here, and we're going to click Online to see all the options online. It's the first one for me on this list, but you can scroll down to find it. Click on that, click Install, and you'll see that it starts downloading, installs it, and now it's asking if we want to configure. And yes, we do need to configure this right away. Now, we're going to need a client ID, which we'll get through Spotify's site. We're going to create our own application. If you hit Authorize right now, it's going to say you need that client ID. So let's go ahead and go to the Spotify for Developers webpage at developer.spotify.com and go to Dashboard. From here, we need to create a new application. We can create one through the panel there or the button up here. I'm going to call this one Reckless Boon Macro Deck Plugin, and we're going to give it a description. Reckless Boon Macro Deck Plugin Application. And check that we understand the guidelines and create. Now from here, there's still one setting we need to adjust. So we go to edit settings up here, and we need to add a redirect URI. So we're going to put HTTP. You cannot put HTTPS. If you do that, it's not going to work. So you need http://localhost:5000/callback, and this is where the authorization is going to send back your token that we need. So make sure that shows up there like that, and down at the bottom hit the save button. Once that saves, grab the client ID here, and you make sure you only get the letters and the numbers. And let's pull up our macro deck. We pop that into the client ID here. Now if we hit authorize Spotify, we have this window show up, and there are these different bits of permissions that you have to approve that your application can do. So we're going to go ahead and say agree. Now hopefully you get this success callback if everything was entered in correctly. Now it does say that perhaps Chrome, Edge, or Firefox are the best options if this doesn't work. And you should see the token and the refresh token already put in there in the password protected fields. Now we're going to go ahead and hit OK. This says completed, and we see that the Spotify icon is now connected. Okay, so now we have that installed. Let's go ahead and take a look at what actions this gives us. So we go in here to add an action, and under the Spotify plugin group, we can take a look. We have toggle playing, so this will play your music, pause it, or resume, depending on what you pick. Pause will obviously just make it pause, play, and toggle will do whatever the opposite is. And then there's skip track, pretty self-explanatory. Previous track, same thing. The repeat mode, you can set to either repeat off, do the whole playlist, or do a single track. And then we have the toggle shuffle mode, and you can either set it to on or off, or you can have it toggle whenever you press the button. And then we have set volume, so you can set it to a percentage of the bar here, so you can go to 100%, 50. You can increase it by or reduce it by a certain percentage as well. Next we have play playlist. So if you have a bunch of playlists, you can have it play a specific one and start at a certain track. Underneath that we have add and remove library. This will take whatever track you're currently listening to and put it into your liked songs up here. So you're basically liking or unliking a song, the current song. And you can have it either just remove or just add or toggle depending on if it's already in your liked songs. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up an example button for each of the actions. But first, we're going to go ahead and put a couple of read-only variable buttons here. So for right here, I'm going to put in, using this button here, we're going to put in the playing title. And we're going to put that in the middle, bump it up, and I want the background to kind of look like it's not there. So we're going to put 45 all the way down. Hit OK. Copy this, put it here. And then let's change this to use the playing artists. Okay, so now we got those two read-only buttons there. First thing we want to do, actually, let's make sure it works. So we're going to hit play here. And if I hit next in Spotify, you see that these did update. So now let's go ahead and start putting up some actions. We're going to do the toggle playing, and I'm only going to use the toggle because that makes the most sense to me, but you can have it pause or play as well. So here, let's go ahead and we're going to use both states. So on the off, when it's off, I want to have a play button. So I'm going to use this clean framed icon pack because it has the play and pause separate. So we're going to do the play when it is off. And when it is on and playing, I want to show this button. That means it will pause. And we're going to bind that state directly to the Spotify playing variable. So that should set it on and off based on if it's actually playing. If I hit OK, there we have it. Let's go ahead and try it. You see that it paused there. And now I'm going to hit this again. And now it is playing. So let's go ahead and set up the next buttons. So right here, the next one in line is skip track. Pretty self-explanatory, there's no configuration. We're going to use this button, which means skip to the next. And that's it for this button, pretty simple. We hit that there. We're gonna put it right here because I'm gonna put the previous one there, but let's test this out, make sure it works. You see the track changed, these updated. Now let's go ahead and set up the previous track action. Same thing, no configuration. And we just need an icon. There's no states that we need to save. Try it out. And you see it did go to the previous song, in fact. Okay, so now we're going to move on and add in 3 sets of buttons for the repeat mode. So we go to the repeat action here. We're going to start with the off. Put it there, and we're going to do repeat mode. This one's off. We're going to put it in the middle, bump it up to 8. Now if it's off, we want it to just look like this. Copy this. We're going to go over to the on state. Put it here, put it in the middle, bump it up. Now this one, if it's on, I want to see that visually as the text being green. And we can't bind directly to the Spotify playing loop variable because it is not just an on-off, it has multiple values. However, we can use the on event action here, add an event for when the variable changes. For the Spotify playing loop, we need a condition that if this variable, Spotify playing loop, equals off, then this action is enabled. And we need to change this action button, the state, to on, because that means this is the one that is selected. Else, we hit the button here, and we change the state to off. Now we go ahead and hit OK. Now let's try this out. So this one is currently has a track repeat here. So let's go ahead and hit on press, and it did turn it off, and it is now enabled green, meaning the repeat mode is off. Let's copy it, paste it here, and we're we're going to edit it. We're going to do the next working mode in the action, whole playlist. So let's update it over here, whole playlist. Make sure you get both states. Whole playlist. And we need to change the on event value. And for this, the value is context. A little confusing, but that's what it is. We hit OK. And now, right now, it's set to green, but let's go ahead and change this mode. So now it shows that that one's green. We go over here. Repeat mode's off. And now the whole playlist is enabled. So let's do that again, but this time we're going to do it for the track only value. Single track. Over here, let's put in single track. For the other state, we're going to do single track. I'm going to hit off here so it starts in the right state for us. We're going to do on event, and we need to change this value here to track. We hit OK, and it's still green, but that's okay. We're going to set it to off. Both of these are now off. Repeat mode's there. Whole playlist updated, and single track updated. So we're going to do the repeat mode off. Alright, so let's move on to the next action. Let's see what that is. So now we can toggle the shuffle mode, and I'm just going to leave toggle because that makes the most sense to me. This is simple on off. We hit OK, and in the label, we're going to just put the text shuffle to make it easy. Bump that up, and we do the on state, shuffle, middle, bump it up, and we want it to be green. So now this one we can just bind directly to the Spotify playing shuffle variable. We hit OK, and now you'll see shuffle is off. We hit this, shuffle's on there, and shuffle's on here. Hit it again, off and off. Perfect. Alright, so let's move on to the next action. This one is to set the volume. You can set it to a specific value, although I'm going to have two buttons to reduce and increase it by, let's say 10%, because that seems reasonable. So let's use just an icon for this. We have a minus icon here. That's good enough. We're going to copy and paste it here. Edit that one. We're going to use the plus, and we're going to change the action to increase by 10%. Hit OK, and now we have our volume increase and minus. So let's go ahead and try that out. You'll see my volume did jump down there, and now it went the right way again. Okay, so moving on to the next action, play playlist. So this one, we're going to say I'm going to use my techno playlist. We're going to start at track 3. We do that, and we're going to do play techno. Put it in the middle, bump it up a little bit, and that's it. There's no tracking needed to be done. It's just going to do it when I push the button. So let's say I'm in here and I'm playing the deadmau5 playlist instead. If I hit this, it should switch over. Switches back to this one, and it is playing track 3. Okay, so now the final action button that we're going to do is the add remove library. So this is going to toggle the like button right here. So I'm going to leave it on toggle, and we're going to keep the state here. We're going to use, let's see here, I think we're going to use these icons right here. So we're going to use this one if it's not liked, and if it is liked, we're going to use this one. And we should be able to bind directly to the Spotify track-in library variable here, since it's just on and off. We hit OK, and you'll see that this is empty here. We go ahead and click. Takes just a little bit, but that does update there, and here it is in our library. Let's go ahead and hit it again. And now that's off, and it's no longer quote-unquote liked. Okay, so say you don't have Spotify Premium, there are still a couple of options, a couple other plugins that you can download instead to do a fair amount of this. What we're not going to be able to do is we're not going to be able to have the shuffle. We won't be able to have the repeat modes. Get rid of those. We won't have the playlist select, and we won't have the hard. However, you can still do the play pause, skip tracks, and the volume control. And you can still keep what's currently playing here, as well as the status of it's playing or not. What we're going to need to do is download 2 plugins. We go to the online store. First one is the Macro Deck Media Controls. So let's go ahead and download this one. This one's going to give you the next track, previous track, and play pause buttons. We're going to go ahead and let that download and install. And then we also need the Windows Utils plugin. This one's going to give us the volume control. Go ahead and hit install. It downloads, installs. Now let's go over here and let's change our buttons. So for the play pause, we're going to edit this. And since we don't have premium, we can't use this. We're going to go to the media controls and we're going to do play pause. There's no configuration needed here, and it just toggles. Okay, so when I hit this, it should start the last thing that was running. So with this, there's a caveat that Spotify had to be what was playing beforehand for this to work. Otherwise, it will start and stop. Say like Chrome, if Chrome's has some audio going through it, it'll control that. So this only controls what it's currently playing. So we stop that. Let's go ahead and edit this one, not the Spotify plugin. We want the media controls, previous. And we're gonna go ahead and update all these first before we test them out. So we're gonna remove this one. Still need media controls for the next. For the reduce volume, we will be using Windows Utils, and we will decrease the volume here. There's no configuration on this. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the increase volume. And we save that. So now we can play. We can skip ahead to the next track. See it updated. We can go to the previous track, which in this case just restarts the last one. We can increase the volume, and we can decrease the volume. Now, if you're like me and you have a voice meter here, another option is to download the voice meter plugin. And this one has a few more options on volume control. And we'll need to configure it. Oh, we don't actually need to configure it. We'll just say okay here. Done. Then over here, we're going to edit this, and instead of the Windows Utils, we'll use the voice meter plugin, advanced/custom. And what we're going to do here is we're going to change the gain of whichever strip you use. So in my case, that is strip number 3. It's 0 base, so the first strip is 0, second strip is 1. And so I have voice meter banana, which has 3 inputs, 2 virtual, and then all the outputs. So the one that I want to do, which is my computer audio, is strip 3.gain, and what you're going to do here is minus equal however much you want to do. So I'm going to say bump it down 2.5 decibels every time I hit this button. I'm going to copy this, hit OK. There we go. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to switch this out with the voice meter plugin. But in this time we're going to do plus equal, so we're going to increase the audio. We hit OK, we hit OK. Now you should see this go up and down. So there it's going down, and here it's going up. And that's it. That's how you can replace a few of these options with some other plugins if you don't have Spotify Premium. Okay, so now you should have your macro deck set up to control Spotify either through the premium features or through the Windows Media Player plugin. If you found this helpful, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps me out. And if you have any other requests for anything, leave those down below in the comments and I might get to it. And I guess I will see you in the next one.